guys, so welcome back to the channel. As I had mentioned before, it is EDS Awareness Month as well as Mental Health Awareness Month, but this video is going to be focused on Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So first off, what is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome? It is a genetic disorder, so disorder. I'm going to be fully honest, I'm not exactly sure what the difference is between disease and disorder. You'd think I'd know by now, but sorry. So it affects your connective tissue, so that's which is called collagen, the connective tissue collagen. You have many different types of tissue within you, but this one affects specifically the collagen gene. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm like giving you guys facts, so I keep looking over at my notes to make sure that I got this. So yes, so for me that means all my joints are very loose. Pretty much everyone with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome struggles with loose joints. I dislocate my left shoulder all the time, and it's constantly subluxed. And for those of you who don't know what subluxed is, or subluxation, that is when the joint doesn't fully dislocate, it just partially comes out, basically. It's like a partial dislocation kind of a thing, you know? So that's a good way to think about it if you're having trouble kind of remembering. Basically, it's a partial dislocation. So I have dislocated most every joint at this point, except for luckily like my vertebrae and my neck. I haven't had issues with that, but I've had issues like with my jaw popping in and out, and with my knees. Really just one of my knees though. My ankles have both came out, both wrists have came out, but of course more so the one that I had my wrist removed, because since I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, had we known that before, we would have known that we really shouldn't have done that surgery. So it is what it is now. But it just makes it worse because I was already loose in my joints and had a lot of issues with that one to begin with, and we thought we were fixing it and we really just made it worse. So yeah, so that's with the joints. Most everyone experiences subluxations, dislocations, you know, that type of thing. Everybody's got like a little bit of loose joints, you know. But the other thing that people don't realize that has to do with connective tissue is it's all throughout your body, in your organs, you know, everything that operates. So it can also affect your digestive system. A lot of people have gastroparesis and many other stomach problems. I know several people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome who have feeding tubes because their stomach just can't digest and process food. I have started having a lot of issues with that as well. I'm actually being tested for gastroparesis as soon as all these like restrictions get lifted, so that I can go to get tested, because it's a 4-hour like test. It's not really a procedure, it's the type of test, but it takes at least 4 hours. So, but it was considered elective, so is what it is. We're waiting to get that done, and we are also just got so loud. And then a lot of people also have POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome. So this means simple things like standing up from sitting down can cause drastic changes in like heart rate and blood pressure, causing people to faint and things like that. So like a lot of these things are varying in degrees, you know. So Some people, of course, have the stomach issues and stuff to the point where they actually have to have the feeding tube. Some people just have to have a slightly modified diet. Another thing that it kind of does is you have a lot of intolerances and allergies and stuff like that. And sometimes this is just simply like part of Ehlers danlos, but sometimes it can also be a bigger monster, which is mast cell activation syndrome. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name. And that's a lot more severe allergies and stuff like that, and it's not necessarily just like one specific thing. It can kind of change up and stuff, so it gets really complicated. So those are some of the comorbidities that come along with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that are very common. I know so many people who struggle with it, and they're actually testing me for both POTS and gastroparesis. So when I was born, they diagnosed me with acid reflux because I could not hold food down hardly. It would just like come right back up. My poor parents, they're like, I cried a lot. Just not a great baby because I didn't know how to show people or tell someone how I was feeling, so it's really all babies get. So anyways, as I went on and got older, my stomach issues have just like slowly gotten worse. They got better for a little bit, and then they've started going back downhill, and it's just kind of all over the place. And with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, that's kind of how it is. It's progressive. So as time goes on, yes, it will get worse. It's really hard to accept that fact, but there is no cure, and I'm gonna talk about that later. And there's no like proven treatment, and we're going to talk about that later too, kind of what they do to aid, because there are things that we can do to aid, but there's not like a treatment that's like solid. Like for cancer, you do chemo and radiation, like there's not a treatment like that for it yet where it's just very structured. When you get this diagnosis, you're usually doing X, Y, and Z, and that helps it or makes it go away. There's nothing like that. It's just masking the symptoms for the most part. So I actually am hypermobile in every joint in my body, so that's kind of a fun fact. And yeah, so if you have any questions about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, because I'm going to be talking more and more about it as we go on throughout this month, leave it in the comments below, because I want to answer your questions and I want to be giving you the information that you guys are looking for. Because when you hear this term, I have doctors who have no idea what my diagnosis is. Like, they've never heard of it. And so I don't expect all of you to have heard of it, obviously if you've watched my channel before, you've probably heard me mention it a few times. That's just because it's a big part of my life right now. So yeah, definitely leave your questions below. I want to answer them as clearly as possible for you guys. I really just, want to raise awareness for Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month and try to help others understand what it's like to have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.